The past just never stays buried, especially in horror films. Today's entry for the number 30 spot in the Best in Horror Countdown is all about past sins that come back in terrifying ways. This is the Best in Horror Countdown 2024 through 2025, counting down the best in horror every day in October. PABRIK GULA, aka Sugar Mill, was released on August 7th, 2025, and is streaming on Shudder from EST N8. It's directed by Awi Suryadi and written by Lele Laila from a story by SimpleMan. A group of friends gathered together on a transport to go to a new job at a sugar factory in the middle of nowhere. They will be living at this facility as it is far from their homes, but this group of friends see the opportunity to hang with one another all summer and get a good sum of money out of the endeavor. Once at the sugarcane plantation, the group are informed about some very strict rules. When a horn is sounded at the end of the day, they are not to leave their rooms. Of course, being the young'uns they are, this is the rule that is first broken on the very first night of their stay. But by breaking these simple rules, the group have awakened evil spirits, placing themselves and the rest of the workers at the sugar mill in tremendous danger. I love me some Indonesian horror. Much like the film output of South Korea, movies from the region have a flavor all its own. It usually involves religious rituals, utter dread, demons, ghosts, and other bits of Indonesian folklore, and of course, lots and lots of bugs and centipedes. And PABRIK GULA, aka Sugar Mill, has all of these things in abundance. While oftentimes international horror doesn't translate to American culture, more times than not Indonesian horror, which relies heavily on ritual, magic, and religious horror, works for me for some reason. I think it's because these films have a very grounded take on horror, relying on tactile monsters, a heavy dose of atmosphere, the tall reeds and thick forests in the environment around them, and the lo-fi nature of the effects. This is what makes films by Joko Anwar, like Ritual, Satan's Slaves and its sequel, May the Devil Take You and its sequel, and Impetigore so potent, as well as films by Kimo Stamboel such as Macabre and The Queen of Black Magic. It seems horror is something this Indonesian culture knows well, and to add to that short list of awesome modern Indonesian horrors is PABRIK GULA. Coming in at 2 hours and 13 minutes, PABRIK GULA allows for an awful lot of time to delve into the relationships shared between the large group of friends. 2 are soon to be married, a few are simple friends and might have budding relationships if they're given the time. 1 is a sultry little number who has no time for traditions, and of course, there are a pair of goofy dudes simply there for comic relief. This is a big group of kids to get to know, and the first half hour takes its time to introduce all of them. Thankfully, the actors fall into tried and true horror tropes, some being very virtuous, while others are less than so at varying degrees. This is always a challenge in international films like this one, where I usually find myself so busy following the subtitles that it's often hard to distinguish one character from another. Don't start rushing to the keyboards yet, though. I'm not saying this cast all looks alike. They don't. But nuance, like personality, is often sacrificed through translation when it comes to the rate this cast comfortably talks with one another and the speed with which the subtitles go by. Thankfully, this is a big cast, but a distinct one, established in those crucial opening scenes, so it's quite easy to follow who's who. What really makes PABRIK GULA stand out as awesome is the variety of monsters this group meets at this creepy-ass sugar mill. There's a bunch of smoldering corpses who can only be seen by certain people at certain times. These are the wandering ghosts from the mill fire from long ago that still linger around at night. There are specific ghosts, like a warped-faced woman and a biker with a large hole where his face should be. There are hooded ghosts that pop out of nowhere, reminiscent of the ghosts one might see in a Blumhouse flick like Insidious or The Conjuring. Some of the cast get possessed by evil entities quite a few times, causing them to have red eyes, resembling the deadite possessions seen in the first few Evil Dead films. And then there's the scariest mofo of them all, a towering devil-like creature that seems to be made out of pitch-black shadows. Any one of these monsters could be a formidable antagonist for a single movie, but PABRIK GULA smooshes them all into one place, making later in the movie, when the kids are wandering around the sugar mill grounds, dangerous on many levels. It's almost like a funhouse ride where you get a little bit of everything thrown at you in one trip. The creativity behind these creatures is wonderful. But what's better is that director Awi Suryadi knows how to make their appearances terrifying every time. The place where these monsters roam is impressive too, with the ominous sugar mill building, the towering trees surrounding the facility, and the thick rows of sugarcane. The setting is a whole nother monster to challenge the kids and keep the audience looking around every corner with trepidation. There definitely seems to be a Western influence on PABRIK GULA. It was released on IMAX, and it caused quite this hullabaloo in Indonesia before making its way to America on Shudder recently, which is where I caught it. But while filmmakers like George Lucas borrowed heavily from Asian cinema for Star Wars, on a smaller level, it seems director Awi Suryadi and his writers Lele Laila and someone named SimpleMan have decided to steal some of those tropes back. Specifically, the two comic relief characters felt a whole lot like C-3PO and R2-D2, as they are simply there to break the tension with their antics. Most of the time, these little tension relievers actually work, but there's definitely a few duddy moments. Another critique I have for PABRIK GULA is that while the film does a good job of distinguishing characters, I think there is a whole lot of redundancies in this large cast. There's a virtuous lead gal who seems to be the focus of the film, but then there's also the bride-to-be and another innocent girl who all seem to be playing the same kind of final girl kind of character. This redundancy also occurs as there are a pair of bumbling security guards that have the same function as Frankie and Dwight, the two comic relief dudes. That's one pair of bumblers too many for me. Same goes for the Mystics, where there's an old guy and an old gal basically doing the same thing, acting as mystics protecting the mill. I don't know, maybe I'm just used to low-budget horror where there is just a bare-bones cast. Either way, this film felt crowded to me. Still, for its menagerie of monsters, likable cast, wonderfully unique setting, and plenty of scares and gore, and don't forget those centipedes, PABRIK GULA stands out as a film that is good no matter where it's from. Now I have PABRIK GULA to add to that list of potent horror exports from Indonesia. Up next is another little film about horror from the past unearthed. It's a little found footager I liked a whole lot, so I put it in the worth noting category this time. It's called Missing Couple. It was released on October 8th, 2025, and is streaming on Tubi from Massive Mission LLC and Virgil Films. It's directed by Jacques Edelaine and Oliver Maudlin, and written by Jacques Edelaine. An influencer couple, Austin and Jenna Jenkins, who play themselves, decide to renovate a secluded farm and document it on social media. But soon after they arrive, they begin experiencing strange phenomena. The motion sensors go off, they fear someone has been inside of their house when they are out, and the trail cameras they set up begin showing shadowy figures lurking in the background. Meanwhile, an online investigator, played by writer and co-director Jacques Edelaine, attempts to track down Austin and Jenna when their social media posts suddenly stop. The film splits its timeline in two, documenting the couple and the investigator as they inch closer to the truth. Are the actors successfully acting like they aren't acting? Everyone feels natural, which is something that is necessary for these found footagers. Remember, authenticity is a crucial part in the making of a good found footage film. If it feels like the actors are acting, then it really doesn't work. Both Austin and Jenna feel authentic. They are both flawed in their own way, not being completely honest with each other. Austin feels aloof at times, not believing in what Jenna is doing and trying to protect her by leaving out some of the dangerous goings-on at the farm. But they never feel like actors. The nameless online investigator, played by Jacques Edelaine, is creepy as all get out. He's got this blank stare and this bizarre dedication to solving this case that feels unhealthy. that turns out to be part of the story, and Ed Lane does a great job playing a complex character and juggling writing and directing duties. Does the found footage seem authentic and untouched by additional production? For the most part, yes. For the sake of unfolding the mystery of the missing couple, the story shifts from the couple's footage, which the online investigator is watching, to what is happening with the online investigator as he enters the property. It's a clever way to tell a story, but kind of cheats by shifting from one set of footage to the second. I'll give it a pass because I really dug the way information was released here. Still, the editing between scenes was occasionally confusing since both parties use multiple formats for recording. There are a few scenes during the tense moments where music was added, which ripped me right out of the story. Nothing like a keyboardist banging on a synth to kill the authenticity. The sad thing is, the scenes were tense enough that they didn't need the extra oomph of added music. It's a shame. There are produced TikTok and Instagram videos set to music, which felt much more natural. Why don't they just drop the camera and get the hell out of there? Being online influencers, Austin and Jenna film everything. I've come to simply buy this as a reason the camera isn't dropped. When the weird stuff happens, Jenna wants to share with her viewers as a means to understand it all and process it. The online investigator, on the other hand, is building his entire show on finding this couple, so he wants to keep filming no matter what, which is a good enough excuse for me. Is there an up-nosed Blair Witch confessional or a wreck drag away from the camera? Not so much. There are a few confessionals, but they're done in order to provide new information to the story, not as some cliched aping of Blair Witch. And while the camera is dropped a time or two, the film manages to be original in the way the one filming disappears into the darkness. Does anything actually happen? Is the lead-in too long and the payoff too short? Now, I don't want to say that this was a thrill a minute, but the way #MissingCouple was edited between the two timelines turned out to make the story move along at a good clip. Early on, there's a mention that something was in the background of some of the footage shot by Austin and Jenna. It made me scour the background while watching to see if there were other instances of this. It was kind of fun for a while, but soon I felt this was distracting me from the story. I didn't see any more instances anyway. Maybe the shadow people were there, I just didn't see them. There are a few instances where Austin and Jenna are reacting to something on the screen seen from one of the outside cameras. This scene then cuts to the camera, and you really can't see anything but darkness, but apparently something was there due to the reactions of Austin and Jenna. Yes, this is another slow builder with the bulk of the action happening in the final moments, but #MissingCouple manages to pepper in interesting moments all the way through to keep your attention. Does the film add anything to the subgenre, and is it worth watching? I liked #MissingCouple quite a bit. This is an extremely low-budget film, but it sets the mood very well. I like the mystery aspect of this one, and the way little bits of information about the couple and the online investigator are revealed along the way, giving light to a pretty fascinating and original story. The shadow people are creepy, though they seem to be made by rudimentary CG effects. It's definitely a slow builder, but if you don't mind watching influencers doing what influencers do, while an intriguing mystery unfolds around them, #MissingCouple is worth checking out. As always, feel free to agree, disagree, or how about you play along at home and give me your own picks for your own favorite movies of the year. It's October, so let's talk horror. Come back tomorrow for the next level in the Best in Horror Countdown. Be sure to hit all of those pertinent bells and whistles down below, and you'll never miss a post. Happy Halloween, folks.